Okay, we're now in Daf Kuf Dalet Amud Beis. We're trying to see why Abai has a problem if he was misnadev 11 logimai. Gavra l'shnei parim kamachaven. Shall we say that he really had in mind 12 logim, right? Because we said that for a par you bring 6 logim, and he had in mind to bring 2 karbanos, each one an adava of a par. The adamalu lo karvi. So then we could say that what he has to do is he has to add another log in order to jack up the number to 12. 11 he can't bring, but 12 he can. O Dilma, maybe we should say, L'shnei Elim v'keves echad kamachaven. So if you have Shnei Elim and keves echad, you have 11, right? Let's just make the calculation. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 and 3 is 11. So he's not going to bring 2 parim and add another log, but rather he'll bring 2 elim and 1 keves. What's the suffix? Trei michad mina v'chad michad mina mrinan. Olo? Shall we say that the Nodev had in mind that specific number of lugim, a volume of 11, and he would achieve that number of lugim by combining 2 karbanos of one kind with a third carbon of another kind? Although, shall we say no? He wants to continuously bring the same kind of a carbon, meaning the same kind of power. My teku. This leads us to the Mishnah here of Yain. Now, we've been talking about logim, but we now have to talk, right? We have to talk about shemen. So, misnadvim yayin, that doesn't seem to be an issue. Everybody agrees, but ein misnayim shemen, Rabbi Shimon o misnadvim shemen. So, machlok shin Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Tarfon, whether there's an adava of shemen. And Rabbi Akiva claims there's no nedava of shemen. Why? Because shemen never comes on its own. Yayin comes on its own. Shemen always comes together with what? With solus, with refined flour. On the other hand, Rabbi Tarfon says that since the shemen does come together with the rest of the mincha, therefore a person could be misnadev a carbon which is entirely made up, exclusively, I should say, made up of shemen. Rabbi Tarfon, ma matzina b'yayin, shuba chovo ba b'nedava. Right, you could have yayin as a chova, let's say when you bring a carbanola or a shlamim, and you can also have a voluntary carbon niske yayin, as we discussed in the previous Mishnah, and Rabbi Kiva doesn't deny that, is just like yayin has a chova and an adava, is af shemen. Let's apply the same yardstick to shemen. Shuba b'chova, right? If you bring a mincha together with a zevach, and the mincha is made up of both flour and oil, is therefore bob and dove. It should be exactly parallel to yayin, and you should be able to, just like you could be misnadev yayin lechud alone. Kiva, that's not a fair equation. Lo imamarta biyayin shekain karvim chovas v'fnei atzmo. Right when you accompany a korban olah or a korban shlom with this yayin, the yayin comes by itself. Tomer b'shemen she'enim ba karvim chovas v'fnei atzmo. There's no situation in which you bring shemen b'fnei atzmo on the mizbeach. You mix the shemen with a blila together with the soles, and now you want to bring your own shlomim. There's no such precedent for bringing shlomim on the mizbeach. I'm sorry, shlom. I meant to say shemen. Now the Mishnah says, "Ein shnai misnadvim isorin echad, right? There's no partnership for a korban mincha. Aval misnadvim ola ushlamim, right? You can have a partnership with regard to a korban ola or a korban shlamim of nedava. V'of afilu preda achas. What does that mean? He says, if a person offers a bird, one single bird, as an offering, it's not to be brought. It's like too cheap. So certainly you shouldn't bring a bird in a joint partnership. And yet the Mishnah says, V'of afilu predachas, that you can have a partnership on one single bird. Omar Rava, midivrei shneim nilmod. From both Rabbi Tarfon and Rabbi Kiva, we derive the conclusion this is not a subject of controversy. Misnadiv other minchas nisachim b'chol yom, right? That you can have a minchas nisachim that's offered b'nedava every day. What's the chiddush here? Just one second. Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Tarfon argue whether oil can be brought as a voluntary korban by itself. But even Rabbi Kiva would agree that you could donate and bring an offering consisting of flour, oil, and wine by itself without a korban ola shlamim. The Gemara says pshita mal tema minchas nedava goli beirachmona. Hani chamisha menachos in tefelo. Right, where does the Torah tell you that you could bring a voluntary mincha? That's only with regard to the 5 types of menachos, but it doesn't include a minchas nesachim. Right, it includes a minchas machvas, a minchas marcheshes, a minchas mafer, right? And you have rikikin, and you have chalos. What did I leave out? And a minchas soles, but not minchas nesachim. Tefelo. Kamash Malon, Rava tells us Hani Mili Bistoma, right? If we don't know exactly what he had in mind when he took his neder to bring a voluntary mincha, so it's up to 5. And we don't include a minchas nesachim. Aval heicha de parish, if he says specifically, I pledge to bring a minchas nesachim, then it's valid. Mishnah says Ein Shnai Misnadvim, right? There's no partnership in a mincha. My timer. What's the basis for this halacha? Ilay mishum dechsiv takrivin loshen yachid, which means that only an individual can bring a korban mincha, but not shutfim. Olanami haksiv yakriv, and yet we bring an ola with shutfim. Ela ola my timer. How do we know that you could bring an ola b'shutfim, even though the Torah says yakriv in singular? Tichsiv li ola seichem mincha nami yaksiv li mincha seichem el mishum b'chsiv ba nefesh. This is a little bit of an agadita. Like nefesh means that a korban mincha, which is very cheap compared to any other korbanos, and it only comes from a little flour and oil, right? So that's nefesh. He's really bringing his whole nefesh. He's very poor. But nefesh also indicates a miut, that only a single ownership, what's called a korban yachid, that brings about sort of his nefesh. And Tanyanami Hachi Rabbi Omer Asher Yaakov Kavanu L'chol Nidrechem L'chol Nivosam Asher Yakrivu L'Hashem Hakol Boim B'Shutvis. Right, it says Kol Nidrechem and Nidvosam is B'Shutvis. But one case is excluded here. Lo silek hakosuv ela mincha. So the Bryce establishes that the only exception to allowing partners to bring a carbon is only the carbon. Mincha shenemar nefesh. And Omer of Yitzchak, this is the Agadita that I indicated earlier, Mipnei man ishtana mincha shenever ba nefesh. Why does the Torah single out mincha as a nefesh? Like he's bringing his kishkis. Omer Kodesh Baruch Ma Darka Lahavi, who brings a carbon mincha? It's the cheapest of all carbonos. It's an ani, a poor person. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Malini alav hakasu kilu hikriv nafsho miflefanai. Omer Yitzchak man ishtana mincha shenemar ba chamisha mine tigun halalu. Why does the mincha have 5 different types of oil dishes? Mashal lemelech basav adam sha'asalo avo seuda. Right, a friend of the king wants to present the king with a festive meal to show his chiba. Only the king, on the other hand, knows that his friend is poor. Omar lo, so the king tells this friend of his, you know what? Aseli min chamisha min tiglin. You know what? Don't spend too much money. Prepare flour in 5 different types of oil-prepared dishes. Kidei shehena mimcha, so I will derive pleasure from you. You don't have to spend all that much money. Hadran alecha menachos hanesach. Okay, then.
You
So
can
we'll stop.
you can
On
you
which
can
agree.
bring
What?
you can bring the mincha b'shutfas.
No, no mincha
You
b'shut.
can't, right?
No such
All
thing.
right. Okay.
It's the only carbon that doesn't come b'shutfus. Even an oaf, which logically maybe wouldn't come, but b'diavad, you could come b'shutfus. So you
Right.
grab a pigeon on the street, you could bring it as a carbon, and 2 people could bring it together, but not a mincha. Because in mincha it says nefesh. Okay,
Got it.
then.
Okay.
Great. Have a great
All
week.
right. Shkoyach. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
thank you
too.
so much.
Shkoyach. Thank you.